Evening everybody, welcome back to the channel. Just to say, tonight another experiment as ever. We are stubble raking in spring oats. There is some yellowing in this crop, and that really just shows you just how wet it was even a week ago. So I just turned around. I want to be a little bit cautious. That bollard there is a rather large sewer main manhole cover, so just need to be a little bit cautious going past that. Right then, back onto auto track, and then we're pushing on for 18k. Now, as I was saying, it has been pretty wet out here, so probably I could have been out here yesterday, but obviously that was a bank holiday Monday, so we're not going. This bit, there used to be a hedge line just here, and it's pretty rough, so we'll slow down. Bit of made up ground there. So this is the famous field where we had almost 2 crops. So we're now in the rather luscious high organic matter into the field now. This crop has come on massively in the last 2 days. Really has come on very well. Little pheasant out there standing away. And we come down to here. This is more HS2 fencing down here. So this field is on borrowed time. I am currently in the middle of a bypass, so it doesn't look like it, but it's soon to be. Thank you to the kind people who sent their best wishes to my father, just to say he's out of hospital, so that's encouraging, but he's still quite frail, so it's not the best times quite yet, but you know, things are moving forwards, and we signed a new employee this week, so that's quite an exciting development. So hopefully some more drone footage as I'm released from the tractor cab, but we'll see how that goes. So we've got the stubble rake set on float, times maximum aggression. I will leave a check strip to see if we can see any difference, or have we harmed the crop. There was some debate with my agronomist about whether oats are a little bit too lush, and as a result might be harmed by the stubble raking, so I have left them a little bit longer, but from the amount of growth further down the field, I have to say they're marching on a bit, and in fact in some places I can't see the ground anymore, so I wouldn't want to leave it any later. The idea of this operation is to give the broadleaf weeds a real headache before, whilst the oats are well established and can really fly away. So this was my first run. I'm going to leave this one next to it as a check strip, so it's not quite easy to find, and we'll see if we can spot a difference going forward. Right then, for those of you who think I'm fibbing about how wet it's been out here and that I should have been here soon, I just wanted to show you the base of this pole where we've still got standing water. So plenty wet enough and only just dry enough. So this is the bit of the field that's a bit stronger. This field has had no nitrogen so far. After last year's experience with this field and the strength of it, I don't think there's any need to put any N on. And what also concerns me slightly about spring oats is that is to keep on this stronger, more fertile land, is keeping them standing. So I would prefer not to give them any N and not use growth regulators. So this is actually the next day, but I just wanted to show you sort of how much soil movement we're getting. It's about half an inch, I suppose, up this tram line. If we go into the crop, you can see examples of, that's I think a bean. It's not much crop damage, there is an occasional one. There is significant soil movement. I'd say it's about an inch. This is quite a good example, going up that row. What I was most impressed about in the wheat was the amount of, this is our check strip here, nothing in it. What I was most impressed with in the wheat was just how much nitrogen, this mineralised nitrogen, occurred with the stubble raking. And so I have put in an order for 15 kilos of foliar N for this field today, but I wasn't planning to put on anything else. I was just finding this high organic matter soils, we have quite a lot of trouble keeping spring oats standing. So that's an interesting, it hasn't pulled that out, but what I'm also hoping is that this raking will also just give the weeds enough of a headache so that it gives a chance for the oats to grow over and crowd them out. So this little guy here, he was pretty much exactly on a tine. He hasn't quite come out. His roots are exposed. You can see, his roots are exposed, but he didn't quite get pulled out. Same here, this guy pretty well damaged. There, oh yeah, completely out. So it's not 100%. The pointer has found a pheasant, but certainly has moved some soil. Part of the reason for not leaving it too late is just the damage that the wheel marks make. So one of my concerns is just here at the end, in the headlands of the field, just where the oats seem to be just that little bit taller, the amount of damage. So as you can see here, they're pretty thick. This would be a good foot in height. And I'm a little bit worried about this. Let me just get a dog over. So got the dog for scale, just to show you how advanced these oats are. And this is the bit that I'm a bit worried about, where the wheelings came in. So I tried to be gentle, I slowed down quite a lot. And interestingly, they've just gone down, but there's not too much leaf damage, which is what I was worried about. So overall, crop's coming along nicely. Good morning everybody. It's something a little bit different this morning. I'm inside an HS2 hole. I'm not really sure what it is for yet, but undoubtedly we will find out over the coming years. But quite unusually, it gives us a really good look at my subsoil. So I thought I'd just show you the different layers and show you what I have to work with. So here we go. So this is about, I'd say 9 to 12 inches of topsoil. We've actually got a crop of Timothy grass from previous growing on top, but yes, 12 inches of topsoil. And then we go, and we've got a dog joining us, there we go, right. And then we get this rather interesting layer of it's a sort of clay chalky mix, which I'd say probably is 1 metre deep. A bit better over here. There's quite a lot of chalk in it, and this I would say is so this is still subsoil here, so but it's a transition, and then we get this chalky bit which is quite, I would say, quite nice. There's quite a lot of stone in it. There's a degree of drainage, but as you can see here, the real stuff starts. So let's say that's probably 1 metre. From here to the clay is 1 metre, and then from there we get the proper impermeable, horrible clay. And this was dug yesterday, but even now, when the ground is beginning to crack, this is still plasticine and wet. And what are we now? We must be at least 2 meters down. So just go back a bit and you can see it. So we've got that subsoil, that conversion subsoil at the top. Then we've got this chalk mix layer in the middle, and then we've got the real heavy clay, veil clay below. And yeah, we basically shows that we have, I would say, 1/2 metre to drain in, because once it hits this stuff, it's got nowhere to go. HS2 boreholes report that our water table 30 centimetres from the surface, so traps it in almost in this layer straight away. So there you go, something a bit different. Morning everybody, welcome back. Saturday morning, and just out taking an early morning walk, and I had showed you some footage of this field being planted. It was, or has been, an environmental scheme. It's kind of a little island within HS2, so it was easier to have it as fallow than to bring it into production. But things have stabilised with HS2 a little bit. Obviously, 3-crop rule and stuff like that has changed, and greening. So we put this field down to spring oats, and it went in very well with minimal disturbance on the top, really good. But obviously the weed pressure is quite considerable after 3 years of fallow. So I just wanted to share with you the thistles. So overall, I would say that this crop is a little bit behind the other field of spring oats we have, but there is quite a lot of thistles. They are in patches. Colour wise, it's definitely stressed. My agronomist reports that a lot of the spring crops are quite stressed after those heavy cold rains we had. So this hasn't had any N yet. It will be getting an application of foliar N, and I will be coming through here probably with a stubble rake, but weed control after a fallow is always a bit of a challenge. And as an aside, it's definitely something from the past when we were in Ajax and 5% of the farm was insecticide. Coming out of insecticide proved quite a problem when it hadn't been managed, and that is something it's certainly a concern I have for some of these CSS options, where like a legume fallow or legume rich fallow or something like that, where you leave it unmanaged, your weed burden increases, and then when you want to bring it back into production, you have extra seed in your seed bank. So that's something to consider for those people who are considering that as an option. It would be a word of caution.